Hello, YouTubers. Jimithestache here once again with
CountryFlyboy, and we are joined here with the boatman, the water boatman.
Yep, he is definitely not pre-recorded in any way, shape, or form. Right, Mr. Boatman?
The government is bees.
I agree.
Yes. Yeah. He's not a robot we pre-programmed.
Nope. He is not at all.
He is a real person.
Yep, exactly. So he'll be having input throughout the this show.
And on this show, we will be discussing Microsoft's press conference, who I got to say, they knocked it out the park this year. Microsoft traditionally has been known as the ones who just have abortions every E3. They butcher themselves, but this year they won E3 as far as I can tell. Nintendo a close contender, obviously, but Microsoft really scored a hole-in-one. And the way they did that's a bit sad, in that they just simply gave the people what they wanted. Granted, this was what should have happened from the beginning, but at least now it's happening for the most part. So what do you have to say about... I know you didn't finish watching all of it, but...
Right, I got the very beginning, so he's going to do a lot more talking. But how I felt about the conference overall, or just...
Yeah, conference overall. How'd you like it?
From what I saw, it was good. I saw bits and pieces of it. They definitely had a lot more games that were coming soon, as compared to Sony. They definitely had and of course the big thing about, which I feel like I guess we're going to cover elsewhere, but the big thing that was their drive home this year was that the Xbox One is backwards compatible. So that was their screw you to Sony.
Yeah, the two big points from Microsoft that we're not going to cover today, we're going to do separate, is the HoloLens and the backwards compatibility. We got a separate tech section we're going to do, because we're going to throw everything from tech, even from Sony, in that one. So
yeah, so more on that later. But yeah, that was their big shtick this year.
So this time, just the games. First game they debuted, they opened with Halo 5. Yep. I know you're less of a Halo fan because your Xbox died and you went PlayStation, but...
That's right, yeah. I've been a PlayStation person all my life. I've had a PlayStation console right from the PlayStation 1 all the way to the PlayStation 3. Don't own a PlayStation 4 yet. Gonna be working on that. Actually own a Vita. That one's pretty obscure. But I did have a 360 first. I was going to get a PS3, but then at the time they were hard to find and expensive, so I ended up getting a 360. I loved it for a while, and then it died. But in that time, I did manage to play 1, 2, and 3 Halo.
And if I remember correctly, you loved them.
Oh yeah, no, I loved Halo back then, but since then I've been really out of the loop. So I was a big fan of Halo. In fact, if you look on my shelf, you'll see that in the right-hand corner of my shelf there, I actually have a Game Fuel from Halo 3 sitting on my shelf.
My eyes go to the big Master Chief on the wall.
That is also true. I do have a big Master Chief sticker on my wall. I was a big Halo 3 fan.
And so was I. Halo 1... Really, what made Halo 1 so popular is it was different from all the other first-person shooters at the time.
Right, yeah.
If you remember back then, it was all World War II health meters and stuff, and then here comes Halo. For the time, it was different. It had regenerating health and vehicles, which was unheard of for console games. And it got popular and then spawned... it may be the one that's directly responsible for Call of Duty getting samey.
Yeah.
Halo 2 really was the best one in the series because it gave it so much more, but it didn't give it too much.
Yeah.
It felt more. Yeah. But anyway, Halo being Halo, they opened with Halo 5. We walked on a bit on Halo because I want to mention Halo 4 was not that good.
Yeah, I actually played Halo 4 with a friend. I played all the way through it. Honestly, I forgot. I forgot most of it. It wasn't that memorable to me. The ending was kind of lackluster.
It was, I'm going to quote Yahtzee here, it was quite literally running from USB port to USB port and putting Cortana in so she can run sort.out.exe.
Yeah.
And she's the only one who can run it because you got Only one who can run it. .dll.
Yeah, I mean that's
Quote from Yahtzee.
That's pretty accurate, and it's weird. Like, I mean, I've been out of the loop for a long time, but it's like I don't feel like there's as much excitement as there used to be. Like, I remember when Halo 3 came out, and I mean Halo 3. I remember seeing the launch for that, and that was insane. I mean, they had a big to do about it. They had people like they had an actual Master Chief set up, and they had like warthogs and different things.
Which is a bit not too big a deal today with the way midnight releases are, but I remember we were in high school at the time, and I remember the hallways being empty. Like all the students who weren't there, you knew who the nerds were. We were there for some reason.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't afford nor drive to the GameStop to get anything.
Probably, yeah.
Anyway, back onto Halo 5, which is what we're here to talk about. Buck is back. Buck from Halo ODST, which was my second favorite bit of Halo, right after Halo 2. Mostly because it took the traditional Halo formula and threw it out and said, let's be more like SOCOM Navy SEALs. And it was really good. It was a nice change up to the formula.
Right. No.
Arbiter is also back, and Master Chief is AWOL. What do you think about Chief going AWOL?
That's an interesting one. I don't really know what to think about that, because I mean he was always the hero. It's kind of interesting now. Like, yeah, from what I saw in the trailer, they were hunting for him, weren't they? Like that was
looked that way.
Also, who was it may be the one you said because I don't follow much anymore. Who was Nathan Fillion?
Deep voice dude.
Like the guy that was talking a lot in the movie. He's the guy from Firefly.
Oh,
and
that's
Castle.
Buck. That's
Is it
Buck?
Okay, it was very weird to me because I heard that he was a reoccurring character. But if you look at his character model, he literally looks like Nathan Fillion. And he is Nathan Fillion.
He's
so
not a reoccurring character. He was in ODST and that was it.
Okay. See, I didn't know that. And then I was just like, whoa, what is Nathan Fillion doing here in, like, Spartan armor?
Yeah, apparently he's a Spartan now. He's not ODST anymore, apparently.
Yeah, like, it kind of blew my mind. Because I'm a big fan of Firefly. Like, it's a good show. And then he's also on, like, Castle and a few other shows.
Can I mention one other game? A game that I adore is the Ghost Recon series.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say that this Halo looks more Ghost Recon-like. It looks like it's going a Ghost Recon direction with the tech on your screen, more than just the motion sensor that's always been there.
Right.
But the tech on your screen, interacting with the other Spartans, to the all 360 view of the battlefield and all that.
Yeah.
So one thing I don't like about the UI, I didn't like this from Halo 4, and I don't like it when games do it.
Mm-hmm.
Except GTA somehow did it very well. The helmet taking up bits of the screen.
Right.
I hate that, and bobbing around. It's like, I know you're striving for realism, but the fact that you only give me a 90-degree field of view is already unrealistic, so you don't need to take up more of that with unnecessary backgrounds.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel about that, WaterBotman?
I fear dolphins.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yes. Definitely. So, in closing with Halo 5, may get it. The interesting bit I want to point out, AI and multiplayer, that's something I've always felt Halo really needed, because the battles, at least for us, playing local stuff with friends, it was never really big epic battles like some of those maps really needed. Mm-hmm. And I always thought having some AI would be awesome.
Right.
So having AI and multiplayer, and I can't wait to see what Machinima people do with that. Red versus Blue, I think they're going to do something amazing.
Yeah, probably.
Granted, they've already gone sort of CG.
They're already like... They've already gone beyond the engine of Halo. And
way beyond.
Like,
They still do it from time to time, but...
So the next one up, I actually got to see the trailer for this one. Interesting, from the makers of Metroid, oddly enough, going over to Microsoft and doing a game there called Recore. It was an interesting concept. I liked it. It was fairly original, I would say.
Not much to it, though, that we could get from the trailer, other than you're a chick fighting robots in the future and you have a robot dog.
Right, and I mean, again, yeah, the whole point they made was the dog died, and it was a robot dog, and the dog died, and everybody's like, aw, but then she finds another, like, robot carcass, and, like, fits the core from her dog into that, and it's, like, an even bigger version of her dog. So apparently, as the name suggests, cores are a big part of it, and it looks like you'll be able to, like, take the cores from things and put them into other things.
You get to watch your cute animal companion die repeatedly.
Yeah. Which is great.
With a different body every time.
Yeah, but I like that concept. Like, it looks like it's basically taking like his brain and putting him into other robotic creatures, which is interesting.
Well, we won't have to old yeller this. Forza 6.
It's a Forza game.
It's a Forza
there's
game.
Cars. It's a nice looking game, I'm sure, but it's a racing game.
The only thing to mention of Forza 6 is at this point in the Microsoft conference is when a Ford GT descended from the heavens into the middle of the state of the arena, which was funny. They could have freaking bought food for 1 million kids in Africa with the amount of money that took. But yeah, what rich white people. Gigantic Microsoft's version of Team Fortress. Team Fortress? Team Fortress.
Yeah, Team Fortress, like Team Fortress 2, like the Steam game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boatman, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, if you ask me, I really don't like the bees. I think that the bees are the worst.
Really?
Wow.
Interesting.
Never thought of that.
Huh. Well, I didn't actually get to see this, but I know what Team Fortress plays like. I've played it a little bit myself. I'm not very good, but I do have it. So that's interesting. It's for PC as well as Xbox, so I may have to check that out.
Yeah. ID at Xbox. This was an interesting one. There was two parts to this. There's the ID at Xbox games, where it looked like a lot of indie studios that got their big starts on PC. So Gone Home devs were there. We're seeing a lot of indie games that are going to be going over to the Xbox, including a new one. Jimmy, I'm going to blast from your past. Did you ever have a Super Nintendo?
I did not actually. I started out. I actually started out with an NES, and then I moved on to a Genesis. I was all over the place.
I remember the first console I ever had was a Super Nintendo, and there was a game we had. It was a Disney game. The very, very first level on that game was an homage to the original Disney cartoon of Steamboat Willie.
Interesting.
Yes, and you went through Steamboat Willie. It was in black and white, and I wish I can remember the name of the game. This game, I'm going to go over the list of the games that were coming out for ID Xbox, skipping the one I want to talk about. Tacoma from the Ground Home devs, Ashen from Aurora 44, Beyond Eyes from I Do Not Know, and there was so many more, including DayZ of all things, because nobody's playing it on PC anymore. But the most interesting one was a game from Studio MDHR called Cuphead.
Interesting.
And if you look at the trailer, just look it up, it is definitely seeking to be like those old 50s and 40s era cartoons.
Interesting.
Like original Disney, where things are just high on meth and so many other drugs. But it looks so fun. And it reminded me of that Steamboat Willie level, because it had the same art style as old Disney cartoons, like Technicolor, I think is what they call it.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, Technicolor.
And the other bit to ID on Xbox was the preview thing, which is early access coming to Xbox.
Interesting.
Early access coming. We don't know.
So early access is in like what's on Steam, like basically like what Minecraft started, right? Like the whole play our games as they're being developed. That seems to be the new big thing nowadays. Is play our games before they're done. Which
plague.
It's a nice idea. Like it's a cool idea, but at the same time,
it's getting taken advantage of.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I'm kind of either way about it, because I like the idea. But at the same time, I don't. I mean, that's why we have beta tests, though, right? So you can play the game and help fix the bugs.
I'm not a big fan of early access games, because a lot of them really are just taking advantage, and they're all crap. There are some good ones. Obviously, Minecraft and DayZ had success. Melody's Escape, which you know is one of my favorite games right now,
right,
is also an early access game, and it's great.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I'm not surprised that this is coming to Xbox, because when you think about it, if you looked at the Xbox Arcade Store, oh god,
yeah, oh yeah, I mean, that's with any store too. I mean, there's a lot of like just crap games out there that are just made by indie developers that aren't really good. I mean, there's plenty of good indie developer games for sure. Like but there's a lot of like the what is it called? I think PlayStation had like PlayStation Mobile or something, and those games were atrocious. I mean, they were bad. I mean, they were just anybody who wanted to create a game, and I mean, you got to start somewhere, right? I mean, not every game you make is going to be perfect, especially when you're first starting out. But
problem is, a lot of these early access guys don't start out somewhere. They get Unity, they buy a few Unity, or they pirate a few Unity assets. Like, there's 3 games in early access right now that are all exactly the same because they're all a pre-made Unity asset called the War Z or something.
Oh, what was that game? What was that game that came out? The guy basically stole assets from everything and put it together and like tried to sell it on Steam.
Air Control.
Air Control. Yeah. That game looked atrocious.
And this one hit me hard because I am a flight simmer, and this one tried to advertise itself as a flight sim, and
it wasn't anything. It was crap. It was.
Okay, well, Boatman, what are your thoughts on early access?
Not the bees!
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, on to bigger fish.
Yep. So the next thing on the list I see is something called Ion.
Ion, yes. There's more on this one in the PC gaming bit. I'll mention it a bit here. It's from the developer of DayZ. And it looks to be like it's sort of somewhere around what was that game we talked about in Sony that you really look forward, the space one?
Oh, No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. It looks like No Man's Sky, Star Citizen kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's focusing more on the narrower perspective of life on a space station.
Oh, okay.
Deep Space Nine, the game. Nothing to go on yet, other than it was just announced. That's basically it.
Yeah. Okay.
This one,
another a franchise that you like that I'm not too familiar with. I never played. I mean, it's weird because I was a PlayStation, for lack of a better term, fanboy. Having a PlayStation 1 and a PlayStation 2 and a PlayStation 3. But I never played the Tomb Raider series. I don't know why. Don't hate me for this because this was me as a kid, so it's not necessarily the way I think now. But it could have been that when I was a kid and I saw Tomb Raider, I thought, well, this is probably a girly game because it features a girl player. And again, this is not the way I think now, obviously. But as a kid, a lot of times when there was a girl game like Barbie or something like that, it was super.
Don't diss Barbie.
Girly.
Barbie's Horse Adventure was the. I'm kidding.
But, so, I mean, little stupid me, obviously, probably thought that, hey, this is probably kind of a girly game. And,
Stupid kid.
Now I kind of think that I should probably go back and play them because it's like, they do look like fun games.
Start with Anniversary.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But, I'm a decently big Tomb Raider fan. And probably one of the few Tomb Raider fans out there that actually did enjoy the 2009 Tomb Raider. Although I will agree with what people say, it is not Tomb Raider. Unfortunately, it looks like Rise of the Tomb Raider is going the same direction. The trailer looked like Tomb Raider, the 2009 Tomb Raider again. It's just instead of a Pacific island, we're in Mount Everest this time. And all I can say is, please, don't beat the crap out of poor Lara again. She's had enough. She got the crap beat out of her the first. You don't have to. Don't confuse character development with mutilation. Right, Boatman?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. All right.
Hopefully there will be more tomb raiding in this one. Different from the 2009 trailer is that they actually did show some tomb raiding.
Well, it is called Tomb Raider, so you would think that tombs would be raided.
Yeah, but not apparently.
Yeah. So next thing on the list, I actually saw this. It looked
and
interesting
freaked.
To me. The Rare Replay.
Jimmy, our childhood is back, man.
Now, this one I thought was a little weird to see for me because I've been following, which more on that later, but I've been following a game called Yooka-Laylee. And that game is actually made by former Rare devs, like the former people that were really behind Rare games back in the time that these games came out. And so it's very weird to see that, these people are working on a game that doesn't even have to do with Rare anymore. And Rare is coming back and saying, oh, well, we're going to re-release the old games. Yeah. It's very weird to see after having followed that, because, the people that work at Rare aren't the people that used to work at Rare.
Yeah,
but nevertheless, it seems that they still respect the past of what happened. So basically, Rare Replay, from what I understand, is a collection of all the old Rare games remastered.
Like 50 of them, I think.
I don't know how they're pulling this off because that's a lot of games that they're remastering, from what I understand.
I thought they were just re-releasing.
maybe they're just re-releasing. I think maybe they're touching up. They might not be like completely remastering, but I think they're touching them up.
The only rare game I want to see remastered is Perfect Dark. That's the only one. The rest of them can just stay exactly as is.
I mean, like, because they re-released, like, Banjo-Kazooie for the Xbox, and they did a couple of things right with that one. A couple of things they definitely did right with that one. I didn't really play it that much, but I did see the differences. The N64 version, you only had, like, a certain, like, view distance. You couldn't find, like, because it was a collectathon game. And you had to go around this big open world and find things. And the one thing that they did right on the upgrade was that they allowed for you to see the entire, like, while you were looking through the entire world, you could see all the collectibles, because in the old one you couldn't. There was not enough power on the N64 to see all the collectibles at once. So that makes it a lot easier to find them, because you'll be up in the air trying to search for collectibles, and you wouldn't be able to see them unless you were right there.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're gonna bring an older game on a more modern system, yeah, I can see making improvements like that.
Yeah, right. Like, it doesn't really improve. It improved what needed to be improved upon, but it didn't affect the core, what it stood for. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have a lot to say about that, Mr. Bowman.
Yep. Totally.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So the next one up here, I see Sea of Thieves.
Yeah. Arg, I'm a pirate.
So pirate game, basically?
Pirate game, that's all I could gather from the trailer. It looks fun, nice little cartoony style. Not quite as... Probably not going to be too far into the realism as Black Flag was. Black Flag really wasn't in the realism either, but... Yeah. It's going to look like more cartoony piracy, it looks like, but I'm okay with that.
Right, yeah, oh yeah, I like stylized things. The one thing that I find that we don't have enough of today that I'm missing and that's making a comeback is colorful games. Colorful platform games specifically, like yes. I miss those. But colorful games in general, everything's become, let's be dark and gritty, and how dark and gritty can we get? And I really want to see a return to form when it comes to like colorful, like stylized games.
More on dark and gritty when we get to Gears 4.
Oh, I'm sure. So a new Fable is coming out. That's not really surprising.
Fable Legends, I believe.
So what's this about?
Oh, crap. I did not take a lot of notes on this one. I don't think it's supposed to be a traditional Fable game.
Okay.
In fact, we may have to rewatch the trailer. But the most interesting thing I could point out was apparently people on Windows 10 will be able to play with people on Xbox.
That's the one thing that I never understood, was that the PC version, like PC versions of games and Xbox versions of games couldn't really talk to each other. And I'm like, they're the same people. You would think that they would allow that. But I mean, I'm sure they have their reasons.
Here's the reason. This matters more with shooters and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And the fact that PCs can more easily mod things. So
That's
we
true.
would have a bigger advantage.
That's true.
With shooters, definitely you wouldn't want it, because like a PC going up against a console on a shooter, the console's just going to get wrecked. Mm-hmm. It's just going to... No,
Fair
it's
enough.
just going to get wrecked.
Fair enough. Yeah, you make a good point.
Now, it's going to be interesting to see, because if they do like a traditional RPG, you just do special moves and your character handles all the basic moves style of combat, that one would make sense.
Right.
So other than me modding my little elf character to look like, I don't freaking know who. I don't know any celebrities. Yeah, other than me modding my little elf character to look like somebody, yeah, that's most I really do.
So, non-surprising, more Gears of War.
Gears of War, 2 Gears of War, Gears of War Ultimate, which is just going to be Gears 1, 2, and 3 re-released. 1 and 2, I think. I don't know about 3, but...
It's like a collection, basically.
Yeah, collection. Re-released, updated graphics. The interesting one was Gears 4, which apparently they were just going to call Gears 4, now they're calling it Gears of War 4, but interesting to say the least, even though I've never played Gears of War, don't know anything about it, and don't really care to play it, because looking at it, it looked like just macho, manly, Space Marine stuff, and I didn't really care for that.
Yeah, I mean, I know Gears of War is a very popular Xbox franchise, so I'm not surprised to see it get a 4th release. But yeah, I've never played it either, even when I had an Xbox. It's just very, like we were gonna say, like really dark and gritty, and I'm kind of tired of dark and gritty myself.
Dark and gritty. This is a good segue, because one of the reasons I don't have notes for this, because I didn't see the trailer because it was too dark. Way too dark. The flashlight barely lit up anything. You could barely see squat in it. Way too dark. And now they were at night, and usually when I play games that are Gears of War style, I do like nighttime to feel like nighttime.
Right.
Because personal experience here, the only time you can really see very clearly at night is if it's a cloudless, clear, full moon.
Right.
Now, speaking from an experience, I have a pilot's license, and when I was learning to fly, you have to learn to fly at night for a few hours. One of the most memorable experiences of flying at night is looking out the window, and my first night flight was a clear a full moon night. And it was, other than being a little darker, I could see everything as clear as day.
Right.
I could see the ground. We flew over some fields, and I could tell you what crops were in them. And it was dark outside. But, when you have less of a full moon and more clouds, it gets dark to like a new moon night with overcast, pitch black.
Yeah.
So I do like games to feel like nighttime, especially if you're going for realism with shooters, where you want your night vision goggles and stuff to have a point.
Right. Well,
that's it from Microsoft.
That's it from Microsoft.
Other than tech, which we're going to go over later.
Yeah. So we had my final thoughts earlier from the beginning. I don't remember if you shared yours.
Yeah, I did. Microsoft really knocked it out the park this year, mostly because they called Sony out.
Yeah.
And they gave people what they were wanting, which was, granted, is what we needed from the beginning anyway. But
that's why competition is good. Competition is very good, because if it weren't for competition, Xbox would still have the DRM features that it has, and I think Sony has commented that they don't plan on releasing backwards compatibility, but the fact that Microsoft has done it may light a little bit of a fire under their butts. I don't know for sure. I hope so, because as having a PlayStation 3, I don't really want to have both a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 4 sitting right beside each other so that I can play both.
Yeah, because when you think about it from a space requirement, if you want to go back, because there are some great games on the PS3, the PS2, the Xbox 360, and that without backwards compatibility, if you wanted to go back and play these, you'd have to, like, if I wanted to play one of my favorite PlayStation 2 games, which was the Conflict series, Conflict Desert Storm 1 and 2, Back to Baghdad, was fantastic games. And if I wanted to play them, I gotta drag my PS2 out, find some way to make sure I have all the cables for it. God, that's not something I miss from consoles.
Yeah.
See if I can find some free ports on the TV.
Yeah.
Hook them up, pray to God that they work and don't look too terrible. So, yeah, and you look at the space requirement, there's only so much room you can have on a shelf, especially when you're big nerds like us and you have figurines and other stuff.
Oh, yeah, all sorts of stuff.
All over stores taking up shelf space, so posters on the wall.
Yep.
So there's only so much shelf space, and only so many ports on a TV that it's not beneficial for us to have these consoles lying around.
Right.
And I feel better now buying an Xbox One knowing that there will be backwards compatibility. Because one day my 360 will die. I know that's coming. I'm dreading it. It's probably got another 2 or 3 years left on it since I bought it used. This is my second 360. I bought it used. But it was a relatively new one. According to the dude, it was essentially a brand new 360.
Yeah.
So it's got another few years, hopefully, left on it. Yeah. But it will die one day, and I'm scared I won't be able to. And I've been rebuying some games on PC, but now I feel like I don't have to now.
Yeah, that's good. It's very good.
Because I don't want to spend more money where I don't have to.
Yeah.
Who does?
So,
Boatman, what do you think?
Well, I think that if you look at the past, really, I think that you'll find that the government is genuinely run by lizard people, and so is Microsoft.
Yes, the Microsoft is lizard people, or they're robots that are run off coin. I think they're clockwork robots that run off people's money, right?
Yep. I think.
Yeah, I think you agree, right, Boatman?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Well, anyways, in closing, have a wonderful day.
Yeah.
We'll be with you, I'm sure, later talking about
the tech and the next we're gonna go over the publisher showcases, EA, Bethesda, Square.
So, look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a long one.
Yep. So, but yes, have a wonderful day. Don't forget to subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe, share with all your friends.
Yep.
Don't draw us like your fancy French girls, please. You don't want to see me in a bikini.
And
so
just have a very, very positive experience. Until then,
unless you're EA, then screw you.
until then, we will see you. Goodbye.
Yep, Jimmy and the Boatman bot. Boatman. Sorry.
Goodbye.